Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that some stories and discussions in this episode of Radiant Resilience may touch on sensitive and potentially triggering topics. These may include themes of grief and loss of a loved one, dementia and caregiving challenges, infertility struggles and emotional toll, mental health topics such as anxiety, self-care struggles, and so on. Our goal is to share real-life experiences in a respectful and empathetic manner, offering insights into the complexities of the human spirit and the journey towards resilience. However, we understand that some content might be difficult for listeners. We encourage you to prioritize your well-being and discretion when deciding to listen. Please remember this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing assistance, we urge you to seek help from qualified professionals and support systems. Your mental and emotional health is important to us. Thank you for your courage and for joining us in a space of understanding and compassion. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. This is going to be a bit of a different episode. We are going to do some reflecting on 2024, and I have my lovely sister Teagan here with me to reflect with me. I was going to do this episode by myself, but those are always so awkward. So I asked her to join me because I feel like we've both had one hell of a 2024. Personally, as well as our family in general has been through some hard shit this year. If you haven't listened to episode 3, Teagan was on here talking about her fitness journey from 2023. So you can go back and listen to that. It's a pretty inspiring journey. And then 2024 happened. Hi, sister. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Still recovering. I feel like after Christmas craziness, I still don't know what day it is.
I know. Between that, like Christmas being midweek this year was really throwing me off.
Well, the New Year's is going to do the same thing. I was thinking about that because I'm like, then I'm off, like work-wise. We have Monday, Tuesday, and then we're off Wednesday again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I'm leaving town on New Year's Eve, so I don't care at this point what day it is.
You're not going back to work.
I'm not going back to work till the end of January, so I'm just like, oh yeah, I think it's Sunday. No, it's actually Saturday.
I don't know.
So when you were doing your own reflecting before we started recording on 2024, how did you feel about it as a whole?
I was like trying to go through, we talked about like the prompts of 5 things that you learned this year, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just literally have nothing. I feel like this year was like a waste of a year. Like it went so fast, first of all, like so fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, the more I reflected on it, the more things I was writing down for what I don't want to do again in 5. Like, I feel like things went too fast. There was too many things I didn't get to do, or things I didn't focus on, or goals I didn't hit in 2024. So that was like my notes started like morphing into what do I want next year to be that's a lot more meaningful than like this year, because this year was just like a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was really hard. And I don't know if this is common in every year, because I think everybody has great years and everybody has rough years, and they're usually all different from each other. But 4 was heavy for a lot of people, I think. I don't remember, other than like 2020 when COVID happened, I don't remember another year recently that everybody was like, oh my God, this year sucked and I want to do over 2025.
Yeah.
I guess one of the biggest, hardest things that happened for us is we lost our first grandparent in the family. And that was really tough because I think losing Papa was also unexpected. So our first big family loss. I was in Colombia at the beginning of the year and he went into the hospital. Was it before New Year's or right after?
It was right after. I feel like it
Yeah.
was the first or second week in January.
Yeah. And then he was in and out of the hospital, in and out of rehabs, and things just spiraled with that. And then right before he came home in February is when he passed. And then our grandma has really bad dementia and had to go into a nursing home. And that was a whole horrific experience too, because she wasn't happy there. How did you feel about Papa and the grief and experiencing that for the first time in our family?
And it was a lot. And I think that's a good point. And Sean always says this, my husband always says, we are very lucky that we have never really experienced death in our family, tragic or unexpected. A lot of people have known people who passed away suddenly. So that was the first, like you said, death of the family, and it was unexpected. They're older, but he got sick, and then 30 days, and then he was gone. I
Yeah.
think the hardest part was us realizing with our grandma that we didn't realize how bad things were for her. So it was almost losing two people at one time,
Yeah.
because when he wasn't there and he took care of her all the time and we didn't know how bad her dementia really was. And then he wasn't there and we were like, oh my gosh, we have two catastrophes that we have to figure out what to do. Um, yeah, so I think, like you said, it's just kind of processing that kind of grief for the first time, but it's almost, and I think that too for our mom was like, you don't really have time to grieve it, because we also had to figure out how do we help our grandma in that
Mm.
situation, and where does she need to go, and now she's alone, and even this year going and seeing her is very difficult.
Yeah.
I think all of us still trying to like this, it's tough every
Yeah.
time to go relive it.
Yeah. So it being your kind of first family grief, what do you think about grief now? I feel like that was a different experience than just when you hear about someone dying, or like when it's somebody that's that close to you.
Mm-mm.
How did you do with it?
Um, I don't know. I think what was hard for me is like, because it was so fast.
Yeah.
Like, we were all together last Christmas.
Yeah.
And then,
Thanksgiving and Christmas, he
yeah,
was fine.
yeah. And so in my mind, like this Christmas, I felt guilty because everybody says that. You never know how much time you and you just take it as a cliche, but it's true. I'm like, last Christmas, I would have never guessed that this Christmas we wouldn't have them
Yeah.
here. And it's difficult. I think I deal with it in my own way. I think him passing is hard, but I think I have a lot harder time with watching Grammy and
Yeah.
watching the decline, or and that's happening a lot. I mean, outside of them, like our other grandparents, like everyone who's just getting older, our parents are getting older, and just to watch that happen, I think is a little bit harder for me. Um,
And I think for me, it really put things into perspective too, that like we're not that far off from our parents being in that phase too. I actually, with Colin's parents being 10 years older than ours, I was like, I told him recently, I'm like, man, I was supposed to have an extra 20 years before I have to deal with this shit. And now I'm like, your parents are so much closer than ours. So I'm like, oh, I have to deal with that, I think, sooner.
I don't know. I was talking to my best friend yesterday because she was in town and she just lost her mom unexpectedly in August to
Which
cancer.
was another loss for you too, because you've been in their lives since you were in elementary school.
Yeah, she's been my best friend for over 20 years. And her mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2 years ago. And then she passed in August. But she was telling me how many things she has to figure out for her dad, like paying bills and things. And I was like, did they not have this conversation? She was like, no, they didn't. And I think it's just when as an outside person, you're like, why would you not have those tough conversations about? But then I think when you're in it, people avoid those
Yeah.
conversations because you think you're going to be fine or you think you're going to beat it. And I think we watched that too with what happened with Papa passing away, and there were not things in place,
Yeah.
especially our mom had to scramble to figure all that out. And I don't know, those are definitely things I've thought about too, is like, we need to have those conversations. You have to have things in writing. But I do think like when you're in the thick of it, it's the last thing people probably want to talk about.
Well, and who really actually wants to talk about their mortality? Like, especially when you're in your 50s, your 60s, you're like, oh, I still have all this time, when really, I think especially in your 60s, it really doesn't matter. Shit can happen at any moment, right? Anybody can get sick, anybody can get in a car accident, anybody, like, shit can happen at any time. But we don't think we need to have a plan until we're like 80 years old. And even then, because Papa was 84, I think, and Grammy
Yeah.
was like 84. They were like right around 80, mid 80s. And they still didn't want to talk about it. And I remember us telling mom, like, you need to have some of these conversations with them because you just never know. They're getting older, but nobody wants to talk about dying, which I
Yeah.
get, or what happens after you die. And then especially in your best friend situation with cancer, when they're younger and you're like, no, they're gonna pull through this. We don't have to have that conversation, because then that's negative thinking. But it has become so apparent how important that is. And Colin and I have had those conversations with his parents more. He's an only child, so we have to be the ones to have those conversations. But even still, I don't know what would happen if Dave went first versus my mother-in-law.
When I was saying that to my friend yesterday when we were chatting, because she was like, well, do you have all your like stuff? And I was talking about, my biggest thing is our kids.
Mhm.
So I was like, we've had the conversation with family verbally of like, where would they go and what would they do? But I'm like, I don't have that in writing, and I should have that in writing.
Yeah, you probably should. Colin and I don't either, but I guess part of that for me was, huh?
You don't have a will?
No. And but
I'd be saying that right now.
yeah, I don't. But
You
the
have a lot of like assets. I think that's where it just gets complicated. I'm like, I don't have anything to give to anybody besides
well,
my kids.
I think that the idea was that at some point we would have kids and then I would do it then. I think that was in my brain, because I'm like, I don't want to do it now and then have to change it all later. But with how much we travel and things like that, and because we have a lot of houses and stuff like that, like I don't want those to just not go to anybody or something like that. So we've talked more and more about, we should probably figure that out. We still haven't done that either. So
Well, it's expensive too,
yeah.
but I
And
don't
again,
know.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about
Yeah,
something happening to me now. I'm only 36 years old. I have so much life to live still.
yeah,
But
yeah. Crazy.
I think there's been a lot of death in our lives, I think, in 2024, which I think has made it very difficult. You mentioned your best friend. There's been a couple of other of my friends that have had death in their lives that were awful. And then my in-laws also had to put their dog down after 14 years. So even though it's not a human, but like, she was in our lives for so long, it was a heavy year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think about that too. Because even for us, like January was when Papa was sick.
Mhm.
And then February he passed. We put Grammy in the home. And then things got crazy because our youngest sister got married. So
Yes.
we were doing like wedding stuff, but like right around her wedding, that my dog got sick.
Oh
We found
yeah.
out my dog has cancer. Then my best friend's mom passed away. I think it's just like back to back things. And then my husband had a medical emergency in October, which is great. So, speaking of not having your ducks in a row, he had a job change this year, so he didn't have health insurance.
Yeah, you guys were in like a lull of,
Yeah.
him not being able to get on yours quite yet, and he had
You
quit
always, when you have health insurance, when you have these things, nothing ever happens. You always say that. As long as nothing really bad happens.
yeah. That year I broke my foot
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? It was like August of that year, and earlier that year I was on Medicaid, and then Medicaid was like, JK, you made too much money in August of whatever year that was.
Yeah.
And I happened to break my foot, and I was like, oh, I have insurance. And then all the doctors were coming back to me. They're like, no, you don't. And I was like, what? So I
Yeah.
was able to get insurance and then backdate it to that. So
Uh,
that was good because that was something that was out of my control, right? Like they just
mhm.
canceled me. But anyways, yeah, that's always when that shit happens. It's infuriating.
Well, yeah, I guess just to piggyback off that, like we were talking about this earlier, like this is just a crazy year in general. Things are super expensive. We had an election year, which is always insane. I think emotions are always like super high. It doesn't like adding all of that. I don't know about you, but that kind of stuff stresses me.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're definitely more into the politics world than I am. And so it was stressful though. And I think regardless of what side you were on, it was a stressful situation for everybody. I had so many clients that were telling me in November that they were putting their Christmas decorations up, like early November. And I was like, why is everybody doing it so early? And I thought for sure, I was like, it's after the election. Maybe everybody just needs to feel the holiday season and feel a little happier. And then later I figured out that a lot of it really had to do with the fact that Thanksgiving was later this year
Yeah.
than it normally is. Because I ended up not even getting my Christmas tree up. Because
You didn't put a Christmas tree
no, I didn't because by the time I was ready to do it and I didn't have anything to, it was like 2 weeks to Christmas. And I was like, I
up?
don't want to.
You get a real one, right?
No, I have your old one still.
Oh, I thought you did Charlie Brown Christmas trees. I forgot I gave you a Christmas tree.
We did that a long time ago when we lived at Jellystone, when we lived at Pam and Dave's, when they were in the country, because we had the ability to cut one down from those properties, but we haven't done it since.
So you have zero excuse for not putting up a Christmas tree.
Zero.
You decorate anything?
Yeah. Yeah, we put
Oh,
up our decorations and we put the lights on the house on the outside. So that
okay.
it was
All
just the
right.
tree. I was like, I don't have the energy 2 weeks before Christmas.
Where'd you put your presents? Just
Uh,
in.
Under one of my palm trees in my, my dining room.
Oh no, you should have
I'm so,
decorated the palm tree.
what's that?
Should have decorated that plant.
We did. We put a couple of our ornaments on it, but the branches were a little bit flimsy, so we couldn't put heavy ornaments on it, but did do
Well,
that. I'm surprised the kids didn't tell you because when they came over, they were looking at all the presents and stuff. So apparently they didn't care that I did a tree up.
that's funny. Yeah.
Oh, so I want to talk to you about you've had a pretty, I would say 2023 for you and 2024 were pretty big on growth for you. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I think 2023 definitely was a really difficult year, but like a very transformative year for me. This year, I felt like most of the year I was stuck. We had a lot of like things going on in our personal life. That was like the one thing I wrote down was like, I felt like this year when I look back, I gave up my self-care for what
Mm.
everybody else needed. And I don't think we really realize that we do that until it's, oh, I've been giving so much other places that I did not fill my own cup. So that's where my headspace is like going into the next year. I fell off of like my fitness wagon this year, but I've gone back into that and refired that passion. And it's just good. It's just, you just have to do that. You have to do the things for yourself that make you happy. Like, it's so easy to stop doing things for yourself because everybody else needs things, especially like we both, me and Sean, had multiple like job changes. I had a new job. I started a new job in September of 2023, and that just went, that was terrible. I only worked there for 6 months, and then I started a new job in March, which I love, and that's been great. But he was going through job changes, and then both the kids being in school, there's always an excuse, right? And then I swear everyone we're related to got married this year.
Yeah, I did that was on my notes too. We had three family weddings. So our younger sister and two cousins, But one of the cousins was out of state, so we didn't end up going to that one. But yeah, 3 family weddings in addition to everything else.
The weddings were July, August, and September.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize they were that back to back too.
Yeah. And then once you hit October, I don't know. Once I hit October, because that when Landon's birthday, I always joke that it's Landon's birthday, my son, October 4th, and then it's the next year. That's just what always happens. It just like flies by like crazy. I don't know. I like when I look back on this year, there's definitely a lot like I think I'm criticizing myself on, but I think moving in, I had a lot of enlightening things. I still think I learned a lot of things, but I think I just also went back into like old habits where 2023 was like my year of breaking those. And then when I don't know, it's just so easy to fall back into those types of things. And that's how I feel like this year went for me. So I'm excited for a new year for sure.
Yeah, yeah. 2023 for you was definitely a lot of changes, big changes for the first time and stuff. And then I also think you can clarify this or not, but with your fitness competition, I think you got burnt out on the gym, the diet, like all of that stuff after that. Do you feel that way? Hi, friend, and welcome to this episode of Radiant Resilience. We are always looking for new guests on the podcast. I want to highlight you if you have a story of resilience that inspires others. Everyone has a story, and I believe that sharing yours can help others feel less alone. Are you ready to share your journey and inspire others? I want to hear from you. Every story has the power to impact lives and foster a supportive community. If you have a tale of overcoming adversity, personal growth, or a unique perspective on life's challenges, I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. To become a guest, please email us directly at radientresiliencepodcast@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes to become a guest. Join us in spreading hope, strength, and inspiration one story at a time. Be brave and share your story so others feel less alone. I hope to see you soon.
I've thought about this a lot because I was going to say this, it's on my notes, but I do want to compete again this year.
You do?
I do.
So everyone, this is breaking news. This is the first time I've heard this.
We're not in next year. But I think, yes, I was burnt out, but the more I think about it, I think I was just so worried about what everybody else thought. I think I was so worried about not taking my kids to school in the morning because I was at the gym, or the relationship effects that it had between me and Sean, or having to say no to barbecues or parties or things because everybody else wanted me to do these things and eat these things I couldn't eat. But at the end of the day, like, I was really happy doing what I was doing. I think I just worried so much about what everybody else thought. So when it was over, I was like, now I can do what everybody else wants me to do. Now I can be fun and I can do these things but I've learned that I like the routine. I like the structure. I like how I feel when I'm working out and when I'm eating better. So I don't know. I've thought about it a lot recently because I've been back regularly in the gym. So now I'm like ready for redemption in that space. And now I know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I think when I competed in 2023, it was really fast. Like January to April, I just lost weight on my own. And then May was when I hired my coach and we just went like straight into prep. Where now I have time to plan it and I know what to expect, where it's not just throw myself into it kind of like I did last time. But
yeah. Is that something you're going to try to shoot for in 2025 or more 2026?
No, I'd like to do the same show in 2025 that I did in 2023. So usually that one's in November. So at least then you have 11 months to really dial things in because I lost most prep. People will lose 20 to 30 pounds. I lost over 40 pounds in my prep. That's not really normal. That sucks. Like if you can be in pretty good shape before you even start prep, where that's
Yeah.
not really where I was at the time, then it doesn't have to be that shitty. So
Yeah. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing that.
you're the only one who knows, but now I guess everyone knows.
Does Sean know yet?
No, no, but no, and I talked to a coach. I'm switching directions a little bit, coaching wise, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of things about that experience that I would like to do differently.
Yeah.
And I think same thing. It's you think about it at the time when you're done, you're burnout, you are burnout. But then it's just you get the itch and then you're like, I could do it again.
Yeah. And a lot of those people in that world do it over and over. I think there's not as many people that just do it the one time. Maybe. I guess you know better than I do.
Oh, such a commitment that a lot of people who do it all the time, they do it for a living
Yeah.
and it's expensive.
Yeah.
But now I have all the stuff. Like I have a suit. I have all the things. So I don't know. We'll see. I probably shouldn't have put it into the universe.
I think you should put it into the universe because that's how you manifest it. So,
That's true. It's true. This is just manifesting.
yeah, I know. I get that though. It's hard to sometimes say things like that out loud because you're like, oh, but what if I don't?
Uh,
But
yeah.
I think that's really cool. I watched you go through all that in 2023, and it was interesting to watch from the outside for sure and watch the transformation that it had on you just like personally too, not just physically.
Yeah. No,
So
it's definitely it's more mental than it even is physical. And I don't know, there's some of us out there call us crazy, but it's like it's addicting, the challenge.
yeah, yeah.
So
I think you're similar to me in the sense that I always like to be working towards something and working on something. And then I feel once I've accomplished something, then I get bored.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really bad about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, like I get to a point, like you'd think it would be nice to just like in my professional career or whatever, just cruise at some point. Like you've gotten it there where you want it to be, all the things. And then I'm like, no, I need the challenge. I need
Yeah,
something.
I'm always on to the next thing. I do get like a high off it. It's like too much because then I overwhelm myself very easily.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like that 100%. I don't know if that's like a Welch thing or we both got that gene. But yeah, I'm really bad about getting bored.
A simple example in my life is like macaroons. When I started making macaroons, I loved the challenge of troubleshooting each time what went wrong and being like, okay, next time I'm going to try this. Next time. And then when I figured something out that I changed from the last time and made it better, I was like, all right, this is awesome. And now I've moved on to bonbons. That's my new thing. And so I've been like, I keep trying bonbons and trying to make it better. So that's like a simpler goal of where I'm like, no. But then once the challenge is over, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I figured out macaroons. Now I'm gonna figure out bonbons.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why I like the bodybuilding world too, because there's no end. Like you can always improve your physique and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And I think with me, because I grew up dancing, obviously, for my whole life, like that was my biggest passion. And then when I got pregnant with Landon, and I was like 19, 20 years old, I lost that. And I remember that being like the saddest thing for me is I wanted to stay in that space. I wanted to stay an athlete. I wanted to still dance, but I couldn't. And so I've definitely felt like with my fitness stuff, like that brought something back to me that's competitive. And there's always something better that you could be doing that you won't get bored.
Yeah, that's true. Do you ever see yourself dancing again?
No.
Why not?
Like, I mean, I would teach, like, I would love to teach again, but I don't think I would, no. I'm just not, my body's not that anymore. We've kind of
Right.
talked about that. And I just think because of where I was, like, it's like depressing, first of all, because I'm
Oh,
older, right? Like I'm not, it's not, you know what you could do, and then when you can't do it anymore, you're like, man. But I did love to teach and just have it in my life still. I was talking to my friend Kelsey, who was on CSU Palms with me. She judges the high school
oh,
talking about, nah, what's it called? Chatha.
okay.
High school like cheer and pom. She like judges those, and I'm like, oh, I would love to do that just to watch.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. And then I had like high hopes that Kyla would want to dance, and she wants to play soccer. So unless she changes her mind, and I have a daughter who wants to do ballet, but she wants to play soccer.
Oh man, that's a bummer. Soccer games will be fun too.
I know. So I don't know. I'm still trying to live my dreams slightly through her, but it's not working.
Yeah, I don't know. Dance became very therapeutic for me in my adult years. And I guess I started doing it again when I was going to try out for Nuggets dancers and stuff like that in my like early 20s. I don't know if you remember that phase that I
Yeah.
went through. And then, so I think after that, I was like, oh, there was a piece of this that was very calming and therapeutic for me. And I love to do the contemporary stuff, which is very emotional and stuff like that. It became that for me. So I don't know. I know you loved it so much. And so it makes me sad for you that it's not in your life anymore. But if you have zero desire to do that, that's okay too.
I do, but I just think, I don't know. I would like to be in the world of it,
Hmm.
but I don't think that's like me doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was fun to teach. It's just like something that I didn't have time for after a while.
Yeah. So what other things do you want to do in 2025?
Gosh, write down. Yeah, so very specifically, I would like to aim to compete. And then I don't know, I just wrote down find consistency, have better routines. I'm tired of being like all over the place. That feels
Yeah.
exhausting, but I don't know if that's possible. Or
I think you found it when you were doing your show stuff. I think, like you said, you thrive off of a routine and things like that. So that will help the consistency. And then having something like that to hold you accountable too.
mm, yeah, because when I really like the second part of this year, I've really focused on that.
Mhm.
And it's just like weird how things just start to fall into place
Yeah.
when you kind of have yourself together, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's just like to stay in that mode. And I'm not really sure where it like fell off in 2024, but I definitely fell off somewhere there.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could pick a time, but I don't know. What about you? What are your 2025 goals?
Oh man. I have one big thing that's coming, but I'm not going to talk about that on here yet. So 2023 was tough for me because of all the infertility stuff. It was a year of IVF, basically from April to November. And this year, I've just been really trying to heal from all of that. I still don't fully know what that future looks like, just at this, as far as pursuing more or whatever. I absolutely don't want to pursue any more IVF. I've been pretty clear about that. But I realized the last 8 years that I was doing all the fertility stuff, that being such a huge focus was so draining. And I did not have a lot of happiness in those times.
Uh,
Even though like life wasn't the worst, like everything else in life was fine. It was just that was such a big thing. And then I did jump all into it in 2023. So 2024 has been really changing for me in that regard of trying to find me, because there's a weird thing that has
yeah.
happened when I thought I was going to have children, and you think that's going to become your life and your purpose at some point. You're going to be that mom. You're supposed to throw yourself into motherhood and all the kid things and whatever. And so when that becomes not a thing anymore, potentially, what the fuck does life look like at that point? Like
Is
when
that
you
not a thing anymore?
not as far as IVF is concerned, I'm not preventing. So, a miracle could happen. And I haven't completely ruled out like adoption or anything like that yet. But I guess right now I'm just trying to get myself into a better mental space. So, and adoption and things like that, there's no time frame on that necessarily. So,
But I
um,
do think, you know me, like I am like I'm very like Christian, I guess you would. I like the word religious. Trying to find like
okay.
a different word for that. But I do think that if we're called to something, there's something that's in your heart, it's on your heart for a reason. And so I think it's hard because of the circumstances that you're in, but I do think that it's on your heart for a reason.
Yeah. And I think that like my,
Somehow.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Say that again.
No, just to be a mom, and it could be a non-traditional way or whatever. It's something that hopefully just like never happens for you, because I think,
Yeah.
it's obviously like your calling.
It's also at this point in time terrifying for me to want anymore
Yeah.
in full transparency because
Yeah.
I've wanted it for so long. I've hoped for it for so long. And the constant disappointment is really tough. I don't want to feel like that anymore. I don't want to feel sad
Yeah.
anymore. I don't want to feel angry at the universe anymore. I want to be happy. I want to live my life to the fullest. And not that I don't, because Colin and I do a lot of fun things in life and we travel and all the things. But yeah, I guess more self-discovery in 2025
Yeah.
of trying to find maybe who I am as a person and what I like to do, simple things like that. Again, because you think, oh, I'm just going to be a mom someday. So that's going to be my purpose. But then what is the actual purpose after that is like a scary thing to be facing, really.
It's true. Okay. A lot of people think that though.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I've noticed, and it's very eye-opening to me, because when I had Landon, I was very young. It was in an accident. It was my friends are just now starting to have kids. There's a ton of people though, even when I see them have babies, that go into like dark depression right out. Like postpartum is very real.
Mhm.
And I think, like, I get what you're saying too, but I also think like you need to have a purpose even outside of that. Like even
Yeah.
once born or they're here, and then everyone's, oh, like I've seen people who've had IVF or too, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed and I don't know why. And so I think that's a good point. Is like you have to be you, and you have to find yourself, and you have to know what that looks like, because even when if you do have kids, you're still trying to figure out like, what do I want to do for a career? What do I want? It's still a lot. And I've seen a lot of people who like go through depression even after they have kids, because you're still like trying to find that identity.
Yeah. And I think I've talked a lot on here about I've seen a lot of people lose themselves to motherhood, right? Because they didn't have that stuff and they threw themselves into motherhood, which is what society tells us we're supposed to do. And God forbid you be selfish or do anything for yourself, because then you're just the most selfish person, because that's not for your children. When really, what I've learned with all the people I've talked to, obviously I don't have kids, so I don't know this firsthand, but like all the people I've talked to and stuff has been like, you're a better mother when you have your own hobbies, your own things, and you as a person are not better. I don't want to say better, but like you as a person are more whole. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're a better
Well,
mom to your kids because you are putting that energy and effort into yourself too. Like you can't pour into anybody else unless your glass is full.
mhm. Yeah, or even relationships. Like you see people who have kids, and then that takes over, and then your partner isn't important
And
anymore. Like,
I will say that there is this fantasy out there, because I think I had this in my head for a really long time, that like Colin and I were going to create this thing that we both just love and adore, and it's going to make our lives so much fuller and it's going to be so much fun. And then you really talk to people that are parents and they're like, that's not fucking real.
what did my were you standing there at when we were at our Welch Christmas? and you were talking about taking the kids overnight, and Landon goes, "Yeah, my mom hates us on Christmas break."
Yes, I was there for that.
I don't hate you on Christmas break, but I do love when you go to school.
Yeah, and I think especially in the early years, it's really hard with lack of sleep and just trying to keep that little thing alive. But I had in my head for a really long time, because then that was another thing that I was facing after all of this was, what does that mean for my relationship? I wanted this thing that I felt was going to bring us closer together in my mind. And then I was like, but what if I'm not good enough for him by myself? Was a real fear that I faced at one point. I've worked through that, but
Yeah.
but yeah, because again, I thought we would have a family and kids and think we would pour our love into that too. And so then I was like, oh boy, what if I'm not good enough by myself for him? And that's not necessarily true though, because then you bring the kids in sometimes and then it makes things worse sometimes.
I always think, when the kids leave,
Yeah. Yeah.
then we just have to hang out with each other for the rest of our life.
And yours is an interesting situation because you guys didn't get much time, just the two of you, before you had landed.
Yeah. No, we did it all backwards. Zero time without a child.
Yeah, but I think you guys are working through some of that stuff now. As the kids are getting older and a little bit more independent, I think that maybe if you can figure some of that stuff out now, then when they become 18 and move out, it won't be as shocking, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, but it was a weird thought.
Yeah. Yeah, to just be the two of you. And then if that was the rest of your life,
No.
it will be the rest of your life. But
Um,
yeah, I'm just facing it sooner than everyone else because I didn't
oh,
have kids.
you never know.
I know. But like I
But
said,
so you're just saying, like, right now it's just you focusing on you,
yeah.
and maybe other options are like available to you when you feel ready for that.
Yeah. I do want to do a little bit more of a deep dive into my just general health in 2025. I guess a little bit focused on the infertility aspect of it because I think that is one of my number one issues health wise. Like I don't really have a lot of other health issues, and Colin and I eat pretty healthy. We work out a lot. We have a pretty healthy lifestyle, but obviously there's something there, I think. Otherwise, I think I would be able to get pregnant. I want to dive into that a little bit more. I have plans and I haven't said this to anybody either. So here's your big shocker with me. I do have an appointment to talk to an immunologist in 2025. So just to explore, it is a reproductive immunologist, but I'm trying to keep my mind on my general health in regards to that versus I'm going to do this thing and it's going to get me knocked up, because that was my
Yeah.
mentality for all the IVF stuff and more of, okay,
Really gotten any answers.
mm-mm.
So I think like whatever the outcome might, like you said, that it's not really outcome focused. It's just like why.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they diagnosed us unexplained for years. And then they just do these things as a shot in the dark in hopes that you might have this thing. So we're going to try all the things to try to just get rid of it. Where my understanding with this doctor is that it will be a more in-depth look at some of that stuff. And like autoimmune things are all so strange. And I think there's a lot of stuff we still don't understand about autoimmune stuff. And they say a lot of the times when you have one autoimmune thing, you usually have quite a few. And you and I both have food allergies, which is considered autoimmune. So, and then my infertility on top of it. Yeah. So we'll see what that brings about. So I guess that's a goal for 2025 too, is to do a little bit more of a deep dive into my general health and see what can be done about that. Because also I've heard that once you get some of those diagnoses, insurance will cover some of the treatments for that, which right now, because it's labeled just infertility and a shot in the dark, you don't have that official diagnosis. So that would be really helpful too, if I could get some covered, because I've spent lots of money over the last years on all of this. So yeah, so I guess, I don't know, just more self-discovery is, and I also desperately want to get away from my people pleasing.
Yeah, you do that.
Which I
You do
think I've been
that.
working on in general, but I struggle so badly with guilt in how my decisions or wants and needs affect others.
Yeah, you do that. I do that to a certain extent. I do that too. I think it's just like a genetic thing that we both have, but you do it really bad.
I'm really bad. And again, I think I've gotten better in the last couple years, but I definitely sacrifice myself and what I want and things for others. And I'm working on getting better at that. And even with simple things like being asked to go out or something, like when I'm like, I really don't feel like doing that tonight, but I really should hang out with my friends and a lot of the times when you go do those things, you end up being like, oh, that was fun. And I'm glad I did that. But sometimes I want to just be able to say no.
Yeah.
And I'm so bad at it.
I'm very loyal in the sense of if I say yes, I'm gonna go.
Yes.
And he'll get on me about it because I'll RSV to a birthday party or something. And then that morning, it's hectic, something's going on, I don't feel good or something. If you have the legitimate reason not to go, and I'm like, no, I said yes, like I will be there. Like I will go. And so I do think it's good to be loyal, but there is a happy medium. And a lot of times I do see that with you, where you'll sacrifice big things that are like in your soul because you're worried about someone being upset, or I do think that's a good one for you.
Yeah, what is the one of my favorite phrases right now is if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yeah, but that's not real at all.
What? But I love it.
Like we suck it. There's always the gray area.
Yeah, but I think keeping that in mind is like good for me because I guess when we're talking about going and doing things more so than anything, the bigger things that's definitely harder with. But I don't know, like just keeping that in mind and being like, I don't have to say yes. And if this isn't something that is completely lighting me up, that I'm excited to go do with someone that I really enjoy doing things with or whatever, it's okay to say no because you don't. I think that for a long time, I thought that me not wanting to do something wasn't a good enough reason to not do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's true.
No, I don't. And I think so. We've had this conversation in our house quite a bit when it came to Christmas. So
Mm.
I'm going to be like a little not detailed here, but we have a lot of things going on personally that kind of make it hard to go to events or be present at things. You know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah.
and it's like there's this expectation. I say this all the time, and people might think I'm shitty for this, but I always say to Sean, I hate the phrase family's family. I hate
Hmm.
because you just have to do and right and I'm not saying there was like boundaries we're setting because of other people. I do believe in that too, but just because it's Christmas or just because there's a label on something and you're just expected to be there or do that thing or eat this food or drink this thing or whatever it is, when you just don't want to do that, or maybe mentally, I don't know. I just think if it sacrifices your mental health, and it could be relationships with people in your family or events there's just some shit that we don't want to do, but we go do it because it's a holiday, or we go do it because we say it's family, or we let people treat us certain ways because it's family. I hate that. I don't think that's true at all. You don't have to say yes to anybody. You don't have to show up to things that you don't want to go to. But then I always end up showing up because I feel bad. But I'm on your page. And sometimes we're just going through things that it doesn't have to do with anyone else. You just need to like be quiet, or you need to be home, or you need to do those things. But we feel the need to have to explain that. And that's where I'm bad, is I'm like, what if people ask me why I'm not drinking or why I'm not eating these things? Like, I think that was hard for me when I was in prep. And I'd have to be like, I can't eat that. So I would just rather not go. to
Yeah.
anything. Because I didn't want to have to explain to everyone what I was doing. And that's the hard part, is that like you owe somebody something, an explanation.
Yeah. And that's where I guess that's why I was saying that me not wanting to, I think in the past I would try to come up with excuses of that made it sound acceptable. And the reality is if it's bad, if it's not okay for you, or you need to protect your peace, or you need to have boundaries for certain people in your life, whether it's family or friends, I think it goes for both, then you definitely need to listen to your gut and protect your peace and choose that route over the people pleasing aspect of it, because you'll just feel shittier afterwards, right? And nobody wants that.
No,
So,
yeah,
but I think
no,
boundaries with family is one of the hardest things in the world. So I have learned with myself that saying I can't right now, or I can't today, or I can't do that, I don't have to explain myself always.
right.
And it's really hard for me because there's a huge piece of me that's I can't do that because of blah, 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 blah. You
Yeah, no,
know?
like a really good lie.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't want to lie to people either.
Does feel better.
Yeah, because then you're like, I can't because blah, blah, blah. Because I think that's the internal battle, is that you not wanting to is not, or not being able to, or whatever, because of protecting your peace or whatever, doesn't seem good enough to you. That's what I tell myself. That's not a good enough excuse to not go do this thing. And therefore I have to come up with some reason for it to not be, when the reality is it's okay to not want to. It's okay to not be able to in that moment,
Yeah.
regardless of what the reason is.
But I myself, especially this year, since COVID happened, I used to go to an office every single day. Now I work from home 98% of the time. I'm home so much that I have struggled with super high anxiety all year when I have to leave the house. And that's where I'm like, bitch, go somewhere. Oh, Sean gets mad because I do grocery pickup because I don't want to go in the grocery store. I hate that. And he's like, just go to the store. And it's true. Or the days my team goes into the office 2 times a month at the most. And for me to get downtown and park, and it's this overwhelming thing. And I'm like, you used to do this 5 days a week. So that's definitely like something I've talked about. And that's really where after prep, I work out at home a lot. And then now I'm going to the gym. Because I told Sean, I'm like, I have to leave this house. Like, I need to go places. I need to. So I do think there's a happy medium of like, I get too comfortable here so that anything feels like a chore to me. Going out to dinner, meeting with friends, and then that's been bad for like my mental health. So it's like finding that of like, no, I don't want to do that. But why do I not want to do that? Because I just sit here all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I get that too. I'm always out because I work out. So I can see that other side of that, in being like, okay, I need to force myself to do this, even though I'm not like super excited about it. I think another way to frame it in your mind maybe is like who you're going to do something with, and that person. If you're like, no, I really love this person and I really want to go hang out with them, even though it seems like a chore to go out, to get dressed, to do the things, I think that maybe that would help. That would help me, like thinking
Yeah.
about that, the people you're going to hang out with, if that excites you, then you'll probably have a good time.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess we both need to work on
In different ways, right?
that.
Oh man. Did you read any good books this year? No.
No, I have like books that I read on and off. I haven't been reading good. No, not that I've finished.
Because last year, or 2023, you were reading more books.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there one that, okay, maybe not one that you read this year, but before, that stands out in your mind that really made an impact?
Yeah, I've been reading, I've started over 7 times, is Atomic Habits.
I've heard good things. That's on my
Uh,
list.
I have this book that again I've started, It's called, I might screw this up, Breaking the Habit of Being You. And
Ooh.
it's basically like to completely rewire your brain so that you're just not yourself, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It's really long. And so I've started it multiple times, and it's all about like how strong your brain is and how much power your brain actually has over like your thinking and the things you can accomplish. So that one I really want to finish. But I think I was telling you this. I'm really bad at reading before bed,
Oh, yeah.
just as a calming down thing. And then I just like reading makes me really sleepy. So I think like it just takes me forever to finish a book.
Yeah. That's okay too. I've been working on,
You read during the day.
yeah, I read a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
I love it. But I'll read a combo of fiction books and nonfiction books. I love the self-help stuff. I love memoirs. That's one of my favorite things to read too, is like celebrity memoirs and stuff like that, because they've had their own struggles in life. And like this podcast, that's what intrigues me about. I love people's stories. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things. So learning their stories and their struggles and how they got through it and to the other side is always super interesting to me. I did discover the Sarah J. Maas world this year, just for anyone out there listening. Teagan. So I'm going to share this story. I texted Teagan, I don't know, what was it, like a month ago or something? And I asked you what you were reading because we had all gone out to dinner with family and I don't know, books came up or something like that. And I wanted to ask you what you were reading. And I never got to that night. And so then I asked you a week later or something like that.
Yeah.
And she writes me back and says, no Dungeons and Dragons in this house or something like that. Because I'm a huge fantasy reader. Yeah. So I discovered the Sarah J. Maas books of A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass. And I am currently on the last Throne of Glass book, which is blowing my mind. It's so good.
Yeah, I think I would really like that. I love murder. Because you know me,
Yeah.
I watch like it's my job. So I feel like if I found, I just don't know what's good. And so I feel like I need to like, if I got into a fiction book instead of all my like nonfiction books that I read before bed, then maybe I could date read like you.
I've also gotten really into audiobooks this last year. So that has helped me a lot because I don't like sitting at home and just reading. Like I feel, unless it's like nighttime, like when I would turn the TV on or something like that, because I feel like I should be doing stuff like at home. So I have really enjoyed doing audiobooks, and then I do listen to it while I'm driving, while I'm cleaning, and while I take Molly for a walk, things like that.
Yeah, I need to do that. Because
And
go ahead.
I also listen on 1.7 speed, so I get through books way faster than when I read them.
Speed, I don't even know what that means. No, I think about like listening to podcasts, but I need the audiobook. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. I have been trying to work my way through The Body Keeps the Score. That's been my fiction or nonfiction book. And I swear to God, it's been on my nightstand for 6 months because I imagine that one that you were talking about of breaking the habit of you or whatever is similar. It's also very science heavy about how our brain works, how our bodies work, and how our body holds on to trauma, which I think is super, super interesting. And it remembers, and I've experienced a few moments like that this year with my infertility stuff. I actually on Halloween had a bit of a breakdown and just randomly nothing happened. There wasn't a specific trigger. And I went and looked back at last year on Halloween, and it was the start of my very last embryo transfer. Like literally that day was my first appointment that I went in, got my baseline, and then started meds. I definitely believe that our bodies keep the score to some degree, but it's such
Yeah.
a heavy read. So
Yeah. I know. I have another book. I'm not going to say what it is just for I don't want to offend people, but same thing. It's like a conspiracy theory, let's just say that. And I've started it multiple times, like my friend gave it to me, and I do care about it and I want to know, but it's like dark. It's like it's a lot.
yeah.
Like,
I
but
can't read self-help books before bed.
you have bad dreams.
No, my brain goes about everything I just read and like what I'm going to change and what I'm going to do and blah, blah, and then I can't sleep.
Oh, that's funny.
But a
Yeah.
fantasy book, I'll read that, go to bed, have sweet dreams, and then wake up the next morning. It's great.
I feel like I need to broaden my horizon then on books. Maybe that'll be my 2025 read more fiction books.
I think that you would love like crime fiction. I really think you would.
But you gotta tell, like, I need somebody to be like, read this. Because if I walk into a bookstore, I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? You want a good one. Maybe after this goes live, people will send me crime books that I need.
Yes. If anybody has any crime fiction books, murder books, mystery books that they think Teagan would be into,
Yeah.
please send that our way and I will make sure that she gets them.
Yeah. If I know what to go buy, then that's different. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna read what are those books that they're making movies out of now?
Lots of those.
It starts with us, it ends with us.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things. Those are on my to watch list, but I wanted to read the books before I watched them and I just haven't done either.
Colleen, is that right?
Are they Colleen Hoover?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's who that is.
Oh, I've heard great things about her books, but I haven't read any of those either. I've heard,
No, but just because the whole world is talking about it, I'm like, I could read that. But I didn't really, I thought they were murder, and then someone's know their love stories, and I was like, oh, I don't know that at all.
that's what the Sarah J. Maas books, they're like the biggest fantasy thing right now. And I was very like, at the beginning, I was like, no, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of all that. But then Colin was like, you read Harry Potter, you read Twilight, you read Game of Thrones, you read like all of these things that were mainstream, popular. Why not this one?
That's true.
So I did,
See,
and I'm obsessed.
I hate that. I don't like Twilight. I would maybe read Harry Potter because I do love Harry Potter now.
Yeah, I think you would like the books.
I just want to go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self that you love to read.
Me?
Yeah. Because when you were in high school, you'd rather drive off a cliff than read a book.
Yeah, but I will say that upon reflecting on that in my adult years, they were making me read shit I didn't want to read. I don't want to fucking read Shakespeare. I don't want to read.
Bird.
Yeah, I don't want to read that stuff. I want to give me the dragons and all the things. Like nobody's reading that stuff.
Everyone should have to read Harry Potter like sophomore year.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, that is funny. There's another thing do you remember mom and dad and you guys always making fun of me for being a bad cook?
Ooh, not really.
Yeah, I remember mom being like, Tawny can't even cook ramen noodles. And I'm like, now I think of the three of us, I probably cook and bake more.
Don't cook, which is funny because I wanted to be a pastry chef.
Yes.
And I like wanted to go to culinary school and I do not cook. It's really bad. Maybe that's why I should have done that so I could have learned.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's really funny because it was books because I was a Spark Notes queen. And God, I wish that I was in school now because the internet was nowhere near as robust then.
No, that's as I talk to Landon about that all the time, and he says they all use AI to write their papers, to tell them that you don't have to do anything hard anymore.
Yeah. My Spark Notes life would have been a lot easier if I had the internet now versus then.
Right? We would have never copyrighted it.
I know. I love the AI stuff. It's been like life-changing for me and my
I
business.
have that for like emails.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, I've done that for newsletters for my clients. I've done this with like text responses to clients in certain situations I've had to deal with just because it writes like a more professional, like I'm really bad at that stuff, but then I know what I want to say and I just need a little bit of help putting it together. So the AI stuff has really helped me. I'll be like, I'm having this situation. Can you help me write a text that says blah, blah, blah. But I've also done it for marketing texts to my clients and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm better. Well, Sean will always write his emails and stuff for him. But I worked in corporate America for 10 years, so I feel like I'm better at it. But if there was something that just did it for me.
I know. It's so nice when you go into the chat GPT world. I know a lot of people are afraid of it right now, but I love it. All right, let's do some just for fun questions about 2024
Okay.
before we wrap up. Let's see. Speaking of chat GPT, 2024 snack obsession, go.
Ooh, snacks. Ooh.
Are you caving under pressure?
No, I guess I just love chips.
No, oh my God. We did have an entire text conversation with our family about the top 5 chips.
We did do that. But yeah, everybody's favorite. I don't know. I'm a salty snack person. Yeah. I just, if
No,
we have,
no chip in particular.
no, we usually have like chips and salsa
Okay.
in our
Like,
house. But
okay.
my house is so full of shitty snacks because my children, like we constantly have like goldfish and Pop Tarts and Captain Crunch and I don't know. I
That
shouldn't
takes a
say that.
lot of self-control to stay away from that.
See, the sweets don't. I'm not like a sweets person, so but if there's chips in the house, I'm gonna get the chips.
Mine are always Cheez-It Grooves. Those are my fave.
Sean loves those. Ugh.
Specifically the white cheddar ones.
So I hate white cheddar. Sean loves white cheddar. He pours that on our popcorn,
Oh yeah.
the sprinkly stuff.
I do. So we eat popcorn probably close to every night, which is probably not good for me. I probably have a popcorn kernel ball in my stomach.
Popcorn's not bad.
But I put butter and Parmesan cheese on it. And
Oh,
actually, hmm?
like the shitty Parmesan
Hmm?
in the
Yeah, in the green container. Yeah. And
weird.
actually, when your kids were over recently, we made popcorn for a movie we were watching, and I made them just butter popcorn, and then I made us the butter and Parmesan. And Kyla was like, I want to try that. I was like, okay, that's fine. You can try some. She tried it. She was like, ugh. And then she goes, why do I not like that at all? And you like it?
You and us.
I was like, she's 6 for anybody listening that doesn't know her. I was like, we all have different food tastes.
Yeah, that's gross. I don't like that, but I feel like Sean would eat that.
I love cheesy pop. Really, any type of cheesy snack is my go-to. Cheesy chips, cheesy crackers, cheesy popcorn. That's my go-to.
Interesting.
What is your most overused emoji this year?
Probably the crying one.
Okay.
Or the mad one. You know the one where his eyes are shut and he's mad? That's
Look down, sad face one?
no, I'll show you. Hold on.
There's so many.
Oh, I can't see my phone, can you?
No, not very well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's talking about the one with the like eye slits and
The
straight across.
annoying one.
Let's see. When I look at mine, I have the laughing one. I think I
Yeah,
overused
the
one.
laughing one.
And my annoyed one is the one that's the one like looking off to the side.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I do that one a lot. Can we talk about for a minute the emoji that I messed up this year? Do you remember in our group message with our dad?
You sent an eggplant?
No. So, for anyone out there who's listening, the emoji that is actually a hand salute, right? It's like a
Yeah.
military salute.
Yeah.
I thought it meant dickhead.
Because you thought it had a penis.
Yep. And anyone listening, that thing looks like a penis. I'm sorry, but
I forgot about that.
yeah, so we were in a group message with my dad, and I think he was sending it for some reason. I can't remember why. And I was like, Dad, and the dickhead emoji. And everybody was like, Tawny, that's not what that means.
Yeah. No, it's just a hand. Yeah. I'm like, why would they make that with? Yeah,
It's
that's
a
funny.
weird one though, is it not?
It is weird. I love to go through emojis and just find like the weirdest ones that you didn't even know were in there.
Yeah. What is our biggest sisterly bonding moment of 2024?
I don't know. We have a lot of those.
Oh, that's good. I would say that we bonded over Tara's wedding for sure because there was a lot going on with that, including her in the bonding moments.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like we talk on a daily basis. Like it's
Yeah.
weird if we like don't talk.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything that's like going on, those like memes on Instagram where it's like, okay, don't tell your sister. My husband says, does Tawny know? I'm like, no,
Side text.
we know everything.
We did have, I really enjoyed going to the Derek Huff Christmas show with you. That was
That
fun.
was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really done like concerts or anything in a minute.
Yeah. We like very different music too.
Yeah.
So that's tough. But a song that's guaranteed to make you dance in 2020.
Go to my gym playlist. I don't know. Anything Lil Wayne.
Oh,
I
big
love
Little
Lil
Wayne fan these days.
Lil Wayne fan. Sean gets mad at me because I play the same music now that I did when we met 15 years ago. Can we, this song, find a new song. I don't know. We will watch like the award show. I don't know anybody. I don't know what these songs are. I don't know who these people are. We're not cool anymore. I just know what I listened to in 2000.
That's what happens. I think that's the natural progression of life. Colin and I still listen to pop punk stuff we listened to in high school. And like mom still listens to Journey and Styx and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So that's just how we roll. I remember mom and I went to the Fall Out Boy concert years ago at the Pepsi Center, and there were these younger kids next to me that were like teenagers, and I was standing up and singing all of their old songs, and then I would sit down because I didn't know any new stuff.
Young ones. Yeah.
And these young girls next to me were standing up and singing all the new ones, and they didn't know the old ones. It was so eye-opening for me.
Funny. Yeah, I don't know any of these new. I told Landon, I was like, he was listening to, because I love like dubstep
Yeah.
and electronic music, and that's like the new thing for the kids these days. So like Landon will be playing music in his room, and I'll be like, text me that song. So I like told him because I need new like gym music. And so he like sent me a bunch of songs. So I'm not like totally out of the loop. I just
Nice.
tell my 12-year-old to send me the songs that
Yeah.
I would like. I'm like, don't send me something annoying because he knows what I would hate.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This is a weird question. I don't know a song because there could be new music coming out in 2025. So a new song might make me dance in 2025.
So I was like, you have to pick a song that just would always make you dance.
Mm,
That's why I said anything Lil Wayne because I just will always like that.
yeah. There's a song that Carrie Underwood did. Is it with Ludacris, I think?
Harry Underwood?
Yeah. Yeah. I am not a country fan, but Carrie Underwood, I think it's Ludacris, but it's called Champions.
It's
It's so
for football season.
No, I don't think so. Here, I'm gonna make sure that it's Ludacris before I just put that out there. But
No.
it is so much more
That's
poppy
weird.
than she normally does than country, because I hate country music. I know, unpopular opinion. Yeah, it's Carrie Underwood and Ludacris. And you want to talk about a pump you up in the gym song? I'm gonna send it to you. You should listen to it.
Yeah, do that.
So that's a fun one. And then let's see, last one. Okay, if we had an unlimited budget,
So
where would we go on a sister trip in 2025?
Grease.
Oh, that would be your choice?
Yeah.
I would probably drag you somewhere a lot more shocking than that.
Hi, where do you always try to get me to go?
I want to take you and Tara to Thailand. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But unlimited budget, maybe we would go to the Maldives or something.
See, that's what I need, the ocean in my life. Yeah, or just Hawaii. You want to go to Hawaii with me?
Yeah, let's do it. Go visit Shauna out there.
Yeah, we can stay there.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would go to Hawaii again.
I
My
love Hawaii.
Hawaii experience sucked because it rained so much the entire time.
Did you go?
We went to Kauai
Or
in
what time of year?
January.
Oh,
All right. And one last thing before we go. I think we pretty much touched on everything. What are some things you are grateful for after 2024?
I will say I love my job. So that's definitely something that was a positive change.
Or what was your biggest takeaway from 2025?
I don't
For
know.
2024?
I don't know. I definitely have a lot of like self-reflection, a lot of things that I want to do differently. But I don't know. I think maybe I just learned things about myself and the things that I like. Like I said, I just like don't think, I don't know. I didn't fill my cup.
Yeah.
But Broncos might make the playoffs. That's what I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Colorado sports. We got Rams today, we got Buffs, and we got Broncos. Not sucking in 2024.
Finally, right? For our sports listeners out there, Broncos have been so bad for so long, and we are not used to being so bad for so long.
Oh, look, I even got my Rams on. Go Rams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Teagan went to CSU. My husband went to CSU. Is that it? I feel like I know more CSU people. But we're big CSU Ram fans in this household and hers because, yeah. But it's really nice that CU is doing good this year too, just for Colorado sports in general.
Yeah, because our colleges here, like we don't have big schools here.
Yeah.
So we're not relevant. So to be relevant has been fun.
Do you feel like you talked about everything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, but what are you grateful for?
Oh.
I know you're gonna put it on me. See? You don't like it either.
It is a tough one. Grateful for the good things in the year. We got to go on some pretty amazing trips. I went to a lot of awesome concerts. Even though the year was heavy, the year was tough. Yeah, I guess I am grateful because, like I said, I took this entire year to not focus on just my infertility and kind of focus on healing. And I feel like I learned a lot. I grew a lot. So,
Yeah.
but
That's what I was saying. When I was writing things down, I was like, more things for a fresh start.
yeah. So that is going to be our theme for 2025. How about fresh start?
Fresh start. What a new year.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to our reflections of 2024. We'll see what 2025 brings, and maybe we'll do another one of these episodes. Oh, I guess that's another thing I'm grateful for is my podcast. I started it in April, so that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see what 2025 brings. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We talked about a lot of different topics, some heavy, some funny. And I hope that as you reflect on your 2024, that hopefully it wasn't as heavy as ours.
Yeah.
But if it was, cheers to a better 2025.
Yes. Cheers.
Thanks, sister. We'll see everybody on the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.